Hello, today I am reviewing I Wanna Dance with Somebody, the new biopic about the life and wonderful career of Whitney Houston. It's hard not to like a biopic really, because often if you go and see them, you're a fan of them or you're interested in their lives, and as with many huge stars, it comes at a personal cost really. However, the film is not sad. I think it's very much celebrating the life of Whitney, unlike some biopics, especially the one with Edith Piaf. I think that's quite a melancholic one, and the Judy one as well. Some of them, can leave you feeling a little bit downbeat. This isn't the case with this one. It's a really family-friendly film, a 12 rating. I don't remember much language in it, if at all. It's very, very wholesome and very much portraying the wonderful career that Whitney Houston had. I was actually lucky enough to see her live in 1993, and I was just a teenager myself, but I grew up on her music and I was just such a huge fan. Ever since the first album came out, 1985, just called Whitney Houston, I think the fact that they named her debut album just by her name that nobody had heard of was instrumental, that Clive Davis realised that he had got a huge success on his hands. 3 number ones that album put out, including Greatest Love of All, which I still think is one of the greatest songs of all. Also Saving All My Love for You and How Will I Know. They're still 3 of my favourite songs of all time. Over her career, she went on to have 11 number ones, nicknamed The Voice. She had 7 studio albums, 6 compilations and 3 soundtracks as well to the films The Bodyguard. She decided she wanted to make The Bodyguard, and Kevin Costner could only really see her in the role. And what a great job she did, and it makes me want to go back and revisit some of these films as well. Waiting to Exhale and The Preacher's Wife, all of which I did happen to see at the cinema very many moons ago when they came out, so all of which I would like to revisit. So the film itself, looking at the cast, very strong cast. I must admit I wasn't familiar with any of the people, which I always think is rather nice for a biopic, a bit like the Elvis one that I saw in the summer, because you're not looking at them and thinking, that's Halle Berry or something like that. You're looking at them and believing that it's Whitney Houston. And I think British actress Naomi Ackie does a really lovely job of playing Whitney, because they're very big shoes to fill. The music, it is the actual voice of Whitney Houston, but you wouldn't know. She has obviously spent hours and hours honing her craft in order to portray Whitney very, very well indeed. And I saw an interview with her some weeks back, and Naomi's actually got a little gap in the front of her teeth, and so obviously she had to have sort of slightly false teeth on the front there, and she said she'd all learned how to speak like Whitney, and then she had to almost relearn it when she put the teeth in. So a brilliant job that she did, and I think her American accent is flawless as well. Second Stanley Tucci walks on. You know that it's Clive Davis, and for a while I didn't actually realise it was Stanley, even though I knew he was in it. I kept thinking, I wonder what part he's going to play, and then I don't know, a few sort of 10-20 minutes in, I thought, he's playing Clive Davis, and he does it so well that you don't actually realise that it's him. He was the only one I was actually familiar with. Tamara Tooney does a wonderful job as Cissy Houston, a gospel singer and quite a formidable woman as well. And although they were close, there was at times tension between the mother-daughter relationship, and I think that's played really, really well by Tamara. I actually really like Robin Crawford's character, played wonderfully by Nafessa Williams, and she really embodies Robin. She looks very much like her as well, and I think that the relationship between the two, which has often been very ambiguous and kept out of the media, but the film definitely does not shy away from the fact that despite quashing rumours many, many times, there definitely seems to have been more than just a platonic relationship between the two of them. They actually met when they were very, very young. Whitney was only 16, she was 19, they were inseparable. And I think very much from the point of Robin, she definitely wanted them to become, life partners. Whitney, on the other hand, I think was conflicted because of her strict religious upbringing. Her parents, they clearly didn't really approve of the relationship. Also, the media wanted to see her as very much this sort of family, clear-cut image. So I think, again, they were reasons. She also said that she really did want a family, and she did just want to settle down. And I genuinely believe that she was very much in love with Bobby Brown. But I don't believe they were probably the best mix to come together, really. I don't think they were necessarily good for each other. Had a child together, Bobby Christina, and she'd actually not long had the child when I went to see her live in Birmingham, what was the NEC many years ago. I think because she was on the road a lot and he was also a musician in his own right, I think it was probably difficult to hold down the relationship. But they certainly did, at times where I think it did work very nicely indeed. I think the actor who plays Bobby Brown does so again very, very well. The acting is absolutely superb. You believe that they are the people as well, not just actors. I think what was particularly tragic, of course, Whitney dying so young, in February of 2012, just barely in her 50s. And then the fact that her daughter also died in a similar incident in the bath in July 2015. I've always thought that was particularly sad. She was just past 20 and she had a whole life ahead of her. And I don't know what happened there. I think, again, it was drugs related. But what a tragedy. And I think that's a double blow, really. And it does make the whole thing incredibly sad. I'm not usually a fan of long films, but I do think for biopics, they are often over 2 hours long because you can't really tell such an incredible life in, too short a time. And you don't feel that it's long at all. I didn't even pop out to the toilet, which I usually do. I was hooked from start to finish, and it really does move through at a very hefty pace. And it does cover, certainly all of the aspects that I expected it to cover. I didn't really find out that much because, like I say, I'm such a huge fan. Sometimes I watch biopics to find out more about the person. But in this case, I'm already a super Whitney Houston fan. So it wasn't very revelatory, but it was very, very well done. I would urge you to see it if you get the chance. And it was directed by Cassie Lemons, who did Harriet, among other things, which is, again, another strong portrayal of a strong black female lead. She was a slave who escaped. And I noticed as well that Anthony McCarter is the one who wrote it. He's a New Zealand writer and filmmaker, and I've watched quite a few of his films. The Theory of Everything, that's a really good biopic. Darkest Hour, and of course Bohemian Rhapsody, that basically won a lot of awards and everybody's still speaking about. So yeah, they got the best people in the business to do it. I Want to Dance with Somebody, it makes me just want to put on all my old Whitney Houston CDs. I had them on cassette, rebought them on CDs. And overall, I'd say it's a really feel-good film, well worth your time. Do let me know what you thought of the film yourself in the comments box below. And you can subscribe to my channel as well.